I personally think that women just need to abandon the word women.
If anyone needs to give up the word woman, it's men.
Trans women are not trying to take over womanhood.
I should be accepted as female.
I want to be female.
A transsexual no longer. I'm not a woman, period.
We think of ourselves as strictly woman.
I am a real woman.
I'm a woman. End of story.
Anybody can be a woman. This term does not matter.
A woman is an adult human female.
I don't care. I don't care.
Okay. Hi everyone, this video is a response to a recent video by Thai Rivera in which he made the following two claims. 1. Trans women are not trying to take over womanhood, and 2. That the word woman has now been stolen by the gender clowns and women should just let them have it and make do without it themselves. I very much disagree with this guy, so I'll be arguing against these two claims. And to do so, I'll be using quite a few references to stuff that happened in the 60s, the 70s, the 90s, even the 30s, to show that there is quite a history to all of this and to help connect the dots. So I hope this is going to be a useful video that you can share with others as an introduction to what the hell is going on and how long it's been going on for. We're both gay guys calling out gender crap, but in very different ways. He focuses on the madness of some trans activists, while I focus on the madness of trans itself. But there are things that we agree on. We both reject the whole cis thing. We both acknowledge that being male or female is a rather indisputable and crucial fact of life. And we both reject all this, non-binary nonsense.
What does non-binary mean?
Non-binary means you're a girl and a boy.
Are you non-binary?
Yeah.
Yay! I'm non-binary.
I use they and them as my pronouns.
Please hug a non-binary person today.
This feels really good.
Essentially, Thai is a true transer. He believes in the idea of the true transsexual, someone with gender dysphoria who makes an effort to try to present as the sex that they are not. Now, I used to be a true trans believer and a supporter myself, but I changed my mind about this 5 years ago. But I'll save that for another video. Before we dive in, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. The more likes and comments, the more this video will be seen, and so the more we can push back against this message that Thai is putting out. If you don't know what to say, just say, sorry fellas, the word woman is taken. Okay, let's go.
I don't think a lot of everyday women and even women that are starting to identify as TERFs understand how the word woman got obscured.
One big mistake was using the word trans woman.
They'll be like, trans women are trying to take over womanhood. Trans women are not trying to take over womanhood. Trans activists are trying to take over womanhood.
So he makes a distinction between what he considers to be the true transsexual and today's gender nutters.
Trans women are women! Trans women are women! Trans men are men! Trans men are men!
But that doesn't address the fact that a lot of these so-called true transsexuals are very much activists and claiming womanhood as their own as much as they can. Highest paid female CEO.
It's a man.
Woman of the Year.
It's a man.
Golden Globe Best Actress.
It's a man.
Smashing women's swimming records.
It's a man.
Setting a new world record in women's powerlifting.
It's a man.
Taking gold, silver and bronze in a women's cycling event.
It's a man.
The first woman in history to perform a vaginoplasty.
It's a man.
The first 4-star female admiral.
It's a man.
First female frontline soldier.
It's a man.
A man calling himself the mother of the children he fathered.
It's a man.
Taking a job at a rape shelter that was specifically advertised for women only.
It's a man.
If you look at these things, and this is just a selection, I think the word takeover is actually very apt. It's not like they're just renting womanhood or, borrowing it. They are staking it. Thai seems to think that this takeover started around 2015, but it's been underway for nearly 100 years. From the language women have to describe themselves, women-only spaces, women's sports, women-only schemes and awards, female homosexuality, to men wanting to experience women's bodily functions.
I am a transgendered woman. My period I experience every month is very real, very valid.
I am working to induce lactation to be able to breastfeed. I can actually make milk now.
The baby has been able to latch, but I've not been able to produce any milk.
Like very biologically affirming too.
I kind of got off on it.
Ew!
And as a bonus, a man suggesting abortions will one day be gender affirming. There are no limits to how far these men will go to colonize womanhood. And you can read all about it in this book from 1979, Janice Raymond's The Transsexual Empire. But don't take Janice's word for it. Here it is from the trans horse's mouth. This is from 1977. Genetic women are becoming quite obsolete, which is obvious. The future belongs to transsexual women. Or this from 1973, where they talk about how a man getting his dick inverted is somehow the key to unlocking full womanhood.
Jan and Rachel here have not yet had the sexual conversion surgery when they enter into full womanhood.
It's a kind of magic.
The idea that a man could indeed become a full woman had already been sold to the public for 20 years.
An ex-GI from the Bronx is back from Denmark, where physicians converted him into a woman.
Christine Jurgensen was even named Woman of the Year in 1953. And so the myth was popularized that a dickless man equaled being.
I'm very happy, but I'm not quite fulfilled until I get my sex change and become a complete woman. A complete woman.
The operation that changed you from a man to a woman. From a man to a woman.
Well, ultimately, to become female, you've got to have a sex change operation.
That's right.
This sentiment has echoed through the years.
So you've had the full operation. You are a woman in every sense of the word. In every sense of the word.
And not just full women, better women.
My choice to be a woman makes me more woman than a lot of women out there.
A lot of real women are really bothered that trans women really look better than they really do.
I am more of a woman than J.K. Rowling ever will be.
Anything you can be, I can be greater. Sooner or later, I'm greater than you.
This is a takeover. Let's go even further back to 1933 and the publication of Lily Alby's book, Man into Woman, an authentic record of a sex change. Well, it's not authentic because humans can't change sex.
You can't change your sex because that is embedded actually in those genes in every cell in the body.
Fun fact about Mr. Alby, he died from the complications of a uterus transplant in 1931. Why did he even want a uterus? To get pregnant, give birth, and feel like a natural woman. Different century, same shit.
It's like very biologically affirming.
So the crazy didn't start with the modern day trans activists. It started when a man said,
"Man, I feel like a woman."
And others took him serious. Some men want woman so bad, they take exception to being called trans woman or transsexual once they feel they've attained woman.
A transsexual no longer. I'm now a woman, period.
You're not transsexual, you're a medical female. Let's get that right.
I am
okay?
now.
Yeah, that's the term I like.
I don't like the term trans people. I mean, I don't even like the word anything to do with trans people. I think it's basically either a woman or, well, just trans people just doesn't go for me.
So you're a world-renowned gynecologist and surgeon. You're also a transgender woman. Can you tell me a little bit about...
Well, I mean, I identify as a woman, but I have a transgender history.
Or they try to downplay the trans part.
Do you class yourself as a woman or a trans woman? I class myself as a woman first.
A woman of a trans identity.
I identify myself as a woman with a trans experience.
And then you get the guys who say stuff like this.
All my identity records, my racing license, my medical records all say female, right? And I'm pretty sure I made up biological stuff, so I'm a biological female as well.
I mean, I'm somatically female. Somatically female.
I am 100% a biological woman and female. So I don't really understand how people can say
trans women are not trying to take over womanhood.
It's been going on for years and the essence has always been the same. To claim womanhood as much as possible, if not outright.
For all intents and purposes, I am a woman.
Well, I am a woman, that's a fact.
I'm a real woman. I'm going to say it one more time so it really penetrates. I am a real woman.
Now there are those who actually acknowledge that they're a type of men, like Blair White.
I consider trans women to be a category of men, not a category of women. That is my opinion as a trans woman myself.
And some people might go, oh, but Blair is so honest about it. He's still taking as much as he can. Because he still uses the word woman in how he describes himself. I'm sure he has an F on his passport or driving license. And I'm sure he uses the ladies. So, take over. And then there's T.S. Madison, who Ty believes is a true ally to women because he says stuff like this.
You were born male, but you identify as female.
No, I identify as transgender.
Okay, I know you're not female. I am not a female.
But when he's asked this question...
But you are underneath the woman umbrella, right?
Of course, his answer is...
yes.
Because like so many others, he believes that womanhood is simply something that a man can claim for himself.
It's not easy to accept you becoming how you
woman.
A woman does not come from the outer. The woman starts within.
Take over. Ty then talks about how he noticed that the mantra
trans women are women
started to become a thing around 2015. I first came across this in 2019 when I was at London Pride, and I just went, eh? Like, why would somebody say that? But it's really been the message all along. These men didn't see themselves as men with a disorder, or men with a fetish, or men desperately trying to escape male homosexuality, for example. Even from the early days, it was all about being your authentic self. Lily Elby believed his surgeries affirmed his true nature as a woman. Christine Jurgensen, the first world-famous transsexual, said this: nature made a mistake. I corrected it. And here's April Ashley in 1970.
I am a woman. I am not, and never really was, a man. I am a human being with all the human feminine feelings of a woman.
How is that any different to this?
You don't actually change. You know, I'm a woman. I was born a woman, but I had the wrong apparatus.
Or this.
Bitch, I was her before I even knew what a trans woman was. I was her before a transition ever happened. I was her as a little boy on the playground in elementary school.
And now kids are saying it too.
Actually, I don't want to be a girl. I am a girl.
Jen Morris, considered to be a transsexual pioneer in the UK, was on a BBC TV show where he told millions of viewers that gender is the spirit, the soul, and the innermost essence of what people feel they are.
I think it's a mysterious thing, but that doesn't make a conviction of gender any less real or any less forceful than a certainty of sex. I think it's a truth that has been revealed. The truth that has been revealed.
Your authentic self.
Which is basically trans women are women. But from his book, it's pretty clear that this so-called spiritual experience was based on nothing but regressive stereotypes about what women are. Like, they are gentle, they are forgiving, they help rather than lead, and they have simpler spirits. Once he went on hormones, he even found himself talking to flowers. What a woman. But instead of realizing he's just being a sexist pig, he romanticizes it.
I think it's beautiful, and I think it's a magical thing that's happened to me.
I was a boy, now I'm a girl.
And refers to his magical lady feels as the inner music.
I hear a symphony, a tender melody.
So-called gender therapists working with very young children today also use this concept of the inner music.
Herschel Russell is a transgender psychotherapist and activist in Toronto.
That's a woman on tea.
He's an advocate for the gender affirmative approach.
A mother of a gender diverse kid asked her 8-year-old, so how come you know that you're really a boy? And the child said, I know way down deep where the music plays. And I think that's so precise. It's non-rational, it's profound, it's beautiful, it's deep. That's how we know what gender we are. And very young children know that.
No wonder the kids are fucked. Anyways, Ty started noticing this slogan
Trans women are women!
in about 2015. And then he blames women for making it more of a thing.
Women, back in about 2015, started helping them do that. And had women not encouraged this, and I'm not trying to victim blame.
You are.
I'm just telling you guys the way that it went down because I don't think a lot of people understand.
I've got it all figured out.
Women, for the most part, were happy with what their relationship was with the trans community as far as trans women went, and they were being very supportive, at least young women like that.
Actually, there have been tensions for a long time. Long enough for some women's organizations and events to adopt a women-born women-only policy as far back as the late 70s. So even 50 years ago, women felt the need to tell men who claimed to be women to stay the hell away. A women's music festival called Mitchfest adopted this policy back in 1991. This made the men with the magical lady feels rather angry, so they started to literally set up camp next to Mitchfest to protest. They did this year after year until Mitchfest was eventually killed off in 2015. Now last week, a bunch of lesbians met up in Leeds in the UK to do some public speaking about being a lesbian and how they don't accept that men can be lesbians. So naturally, a bunch of angry men in dresses showed up to shout at them and put them off.
We're the fucking trannies! We're the fucking trannies! The mighty, mighty trannies! The mighty, mighty trannies! And if they can't hear us, we shout out louder!
I don't see how these guys are any different from the so-called old-school transsexuals that set up Camp Trans. Fun fact, in 2016, one of these angry men that used to be at Camp Trans, a celebrated transgender advocate called Thai Rivera, killed 2 lesbians who used to go to Mitchfest, as well as their son. This male murderer is now, of course, in a women's prison. So, women want something for themselves, men get angry, men protest, women lose their festival, women get killed, men ends up in a women's prison. This is what we mean by takeover. And it's bigger than just man, woman, male, female. This is an attack on reality itself. Because if you can make people believe that men are somehow women and that sex either isn't real or is irrelevant, you can make him believe anything. And this is why language is so important, to anchor people in reality.
Back to life, back to reality.
At least Ty feels the need to point out that yes, there is a difference between actual women and men claiming to be women, but again, we take a slightly different approach.
I personally kept reminding everybody trans women are trans women.
They're men. Men, 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 men.
Nobody wanted to believe me. Cut to 2024, and now a fair amount of trans activists think that they have rights to enter all women's spaces.
See, Ty is quite happy for women to lose some spaces, just not all of them.
And now there is no difference between a trans woman and a genetic female, and everybody's just supposed to go along with it.
Erasing the differences between men and women has been the key goal from the get-go.
Transgender women are as much women as any other woman.
Stop dissecting and segregating or even separate us as women in the aspect that, the chromosomes, the science, the biological things.
Specifically in law.
I want to be a woman. It's my right as a man.
Initially, this was possible.
Lily Alby got legal recognition as a woman in 1930.
Back in 1944, Michael Dillon, a British woman who believed to be a man and the first to go on testosterone and have surgery, had her birth certificate changed to say she was male. In 1951, Roberta Cowell, the first known British man to have a so-called neo-vagina installed, had his birth certificate changed to say he was female.
Roberta Cowell prepares to tackle the most famous hill climb in Britain, Shelsley Walsh. Roberta's a past record holder too, but in those days she was a man. Her change of sex was registered 6 years ago. She still breaks the women's record for the climb.
But in 1970, in the first court case to look at the legal meaning of sex, a judge ruled that the law should consider a person male or female based on how they were born, not how they identified or if they'd had a so-called sex change.
Boys are boys from the beginning. If you were born a boy, you stay a boy.
As a result of the judgment, people could no longer change their birth certificates, and so this became a main focus in campaigning, because
all we want is just to be recognised as the
same
as
women.
As women.
Yes.
That's all we ask.
Yeah.
And the right to change our birth certificate.
And the right to change our birth certificates.
I'm going through the process of having a sex change. And I'm having quite sort of major operations and surgery. And I feel when it's all over, you know, the government or law tells me that I'm still not a woman. In the future, will I ever have the chance to change my birth certificate?
By the way, this man's autobiography was not called The Story of an Extraordinary Transsexual, but The Story of an Extraordinary Woman. Same reason Caroline Cossey called his autobiography I Am a Woman. And the same reason Lauren Harris called his first single I Am a Woman.
When you see just who I am, 'cause I am a woman.
Because that's what these men want. They want woman in full. And while Caroline Cossey may look worlds away from unhinged TRAs like Sarah Jane Baker,
If you see a turf, punch him in the fucking face!
don't let the so-called femininity fool you. This was a bloke who campaigned for years to get his hands on women's rights.
I took my case to Strasbourg and I won, but the British government appealed and I had to go back the year later and I lost. But next year we join Europe and I'm having another go with the Home Office to try and get full rights as a woman. Full rights as a woman.
The early trans lobby from the 50s, the 60s and the 70s, they didn't want to have legal recognition as their own class as such, but as the one that they identified into, right? These men didn't want to have a T on their passport or birth certificate, you know, for trans. They wanted an F for female. And they got it. In Sweden in 1972, New Jersey in 1976, in Germany in 1980, and in the Netherlands in 1985.
So this was the legal takeover of womanhood, and it was mainly driven by so-called trans women.
The reason Roxy Tickle won his case against Giggle just a few weeks ago is because the law started to corrupt the meaning of sex over 50 years ago. During these 50 years, the requirements to undergo surgical or hormonal interventions were dropped, making legal womanhood even more accessible to men. Like this Spanish bloke, who is now legally female just on the basis of his say-so.
It's a man!
The legal dismantling of sex is not just happening in individual countries, it's also happening under international law. Remember that guy who poured tomato juice all over Kelly J in New Zealand? Guess how he made history?
So I made history by being the first trans person to be recognized as a woman under the international law, was something that the United Nations did.
This has been in the works for a long time. It's just taken a while for the shit to hit the fan.
Unfortunately, that's your guys' bed and you're gonna have to lay in it. And it really is other women that you have to blame for it.
Okay, he's ignoring all the men that were involved in making that bed in the first place. Particularly the ones in dresses, the sexologists and the surgeons. You can't just take men out of the equation.
I think in terms of words and the way that they've been commandeered in certain cases, I personally think that women just need to abandon the word women as far as what the fight is.
There you go, ladies.
Let it go, let it go.
And just really hammer home the fact that they are female.
I'm strictly a female, female.
And make sure that you shore that up now.
Female is what these men get.
Roxanne Tickle is a transgender woman whose female sex is recognised by an official updated Queensland birth certificate.
It's a man.
And the press uses female.
Notorious female pedophile.
It's a man.
And these men themselves use female.
I should be accepted as female.
I'm as female
to yourself, you are a female.
We all are. I mean,
I aspire to a simple female life.
I want to be female.
I decided that I wanted to be a female.
I'm legally and medically female.
I always felt like a female, even though I'm a transgender female.
I mean, if you're going to argue that the word woman has been lost, then the word female has by now also been lost. Which leaves women with nothing.
Removing women's ability to describe themselves as a group is the ultimate act of male oppression.
Congratulations, guys. Looks like you got us.
Look, I know he's trying to make the case for biological reality, but he does this weird thing where he treats the word woman as cultural and female as referring to sex, when the word woman is the very word for the female of the human species.
You just couldn't let us have that one little thing, could you?
That's why it's been used interchangeably since like forever. And it's not woman that's cultural, by the way. It's femininity. I mean, this is... I don't know why so many people get so confused by this.
Female is real and it's sex, and femininity is unreal and it's gender, which is the fake version of femaleness.
Wow. You look a little different in person.
It's a man.
Overall, I just feel like he uses a McDonald's-style approach to all of this, right? It's fast, it's easy, but there's no nutrition. And his suggestion that women should just drop the word woman? If anyone needs to give up the word woman, it's men. Starting with the term transwoman. They can give that up right now. Let them find a new word, one that doesn't have woman or female in it. Like sex mimic. Because that's what they do. They mimic the sex that they are not. Even the Debbie Haytons and the T.S. Medicines who say, well, I acknowledge that I'm not actually female, they're still doing their utmost to present as the female sex.
But you identify with a female. Right. Female presenting.
When he says, I want body,
I want body. Bitch, I want body.
He means he wants his body to appear female. In his case, massive boobs and a massive ass.
Oh, excuse me, my boob.
And to me, female presenting, it just sounds a bit too soft. Sex mimic is much more to the point and also highlights the sinister aspect of it all.
He's imagining how well he'll fit within your skin.
I personally think that women just need to really hammer home the fact that they are female.
And he's contradicting himself because on the one hand he's hammering down on the importance of biological reality, while on the other hand he's tearing up the words that we have to describe this reality from their actual definition, right? And this is typical true trans logic. They never make sense. They don't make sense. Why? Because trans doesn't make sense.
It's non-rational.
So, women, don't listen to Thai. I don't think you will anyway. And don't drop the word. This is your word. If anything, it's about taking it back and telling these men, no sir, hands off. Woman is taken.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
And when guys like Thai say,
at a point, the trans activists really adopted and then took over the term women.
It's important to realize that it was always about the word woman.
We think of ourselves as strictly woman. And so do the clients we pick up. And so we dress in women's clothing.
It was always about getting to a point where they could simply say,
I'm a woman. End of story.
And the law saying, yes, you are, to the detriment of women.
What gives them the right to say who's female and who's not female?
And that's the takeover. Okay, it's much bigger than those gender clowns who've been going crazy in the last 10 years or so.
Day 12 of being a girl, and I just picked up some tampons.
Trans women getting pregnant is not as far off as you'd think.
I myself am a trans lesbian.
And yes, the so-called true transsexuals are very much part of it. Like Beth Elliott, who's been calling himself a lesbian since at least 1970.
I'm going to
find out how to get a sex change operation, and I'm going to live as a lesbian. I probably invented that stuff.
Or Susan Stryker, the author of the foundational text on trans studies.
You're thinking I'm a guy and I'm not. You know, I'm a trans lesbian.
Just because they don't grow beards doesn't make their claim to be lesbians any less nuts or offensive than that lunatic on TikTok.
I love being a lesbian.
It's just what it is now, though. But kind of you could say anybody can be a woman, but only people that are born female can actually be females.
Men can already be legally female. And in some places, anti-discrimination and anti-hate speech laws are already in place to make it impossible for people to even mention the biological differences or for these differences to carry any legal weight.
That's why in Australia, lesbians have had to go to court to fight for the right to have their own public events without blokes like Stryker or Elliot or that TikTok fuckface. That's how bad things have become.
So the way for women to fight back is not to drop the word woman, but to reclaim it in full in its original meaning, that a woman
is an adult human female.
And when you, Thai, cut this definition up by saying
anybody can be a woman, trans women are trans women,
they will tell you to fuck off.
And honestly, while I have your backs,
ladies, do you think he does?
I really do support women. I just don't fight over words for anybody. But as far as you worrying about just the word woman and it has this significance and it has this, I don't care. I don't care.
And there it is.
And I see your true colors shining through.
This term does not matter, is not that important.
Okay, great. So you'll have no problem calling trans women men then, right? Because trans woman is only a word, a term that doesn't really matter. Just drop it, trans women, just drop it.
If you guys want to fight over the word women, have at it.
Well, they will and they are. In courts, like For Women Scotland and Sel Grover.
And the Lesbian Action Group.
On TV.
Robin says that Robin is somatically female. I see Robin as a man.
What you've just said there effectively is that trans women are men and should be treated as men.
In my opinion, they still are men.
So I would...
Round the pool.
It means the world to be here, be with two of my best friends and teammates, and be able to compete.
Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
And online when you say stuff like
trans women are trans women and women are women.
And there you go. I mean, he went on for another 10 minutes, but you get the gist of it, and it just sounds like he just hasn't got it all worked out in his mind.
How do I decide which woman I'm supposed to listen to over the other?
Well, then maybe work that one out first before you start telling women what to do.
So all I've learned from this is whether it's a trans woman or an actual woman, women are unreasonable, and that's the reason I'm gay.
I think this is why so many men are unwilling to see trans women as one of their own, because then they'd have to acknowledge how unreasonable men can be. Okay, I will leave you with this from Kelly J. There are no women's rights if you can't talk about the differences between men and women. And I certainly don't think that dropping the word woman is going to be helpful just so this man can have it, or this man, or this man, or this man. Woman belongs to women, not to these men. Because
a woman is a woman and a man is a man. A woman is a woman and a man is a man. You can try to pretend that you don't understand, but a woman is a woman and a man is a man.
Ciao!
Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my PayPal and Patreon supporters. Because of you, I can make videos like this. Special shout out to my big spenders. Help Her Open, Mama Turv and the Turventines, me Julie, the lovely Mary, Julia, Dusty, Judels, Leffy, Dorothy, Wildfire, Esther, and Martha. Thank you.
It's a man.